Tonight, Syracuse men's basketball was facing off against Clemson, the best three-point shooting team in the entire ACC. Safe to say they make it rain on anyone who they play. But you could also say that when it rains, it pours. And the Tigers connected on 45% of their threes en route to an 86-72 win over the Orange tonight. And we're going to break it down all on Orange Press Pass, which starts right now. Welcome inside our CitrusTV studios for this edition of Orange Press Pass. Syracuse men's basketball falling to Clemson 86-72 tonight. I'm Ryan Bridges, Gino Antimarino, Josh Solomon here with me to break this whole game down. The scoreline suggests that Orange only lose by 14, guys. They were down by as many as 24 in this game. Really fell apart on the offensive end. Gino, what's your first thought?
Well, you mentioned, Syracuse as a team fell apart on the offensive end, but who didn't fall apart was J.J. Starling, Syracuse's leading scorer, had another dominant night, 25 points on a very efficient shooting as well, went 10 for 16 from the field. But something that caught my eye, Josh, no assists in this game. You know why? Because he's got no one else to pass the ball to. Everybody else just leaves him out to dry, and that's what caused so many turnovers. Is Clemson did an excellent job of trapping and doing a good job of jumping in passing lanes and causing those giveaways from Syracuse. But J.J. Starling, if he's not playing, Syracuse has no answer. Eddie Lampkin had a good game, had 14 points, but his first 7 shots went 2 for 7. So J.J. Starling is their guy. He's their rock. But man, oh man, there is no second option on this team with Donnie Freeman out.
Well, Gino, kind of bouncing off of that, also when you have J.J. Starling as the only player moving around the court, it's kind of hard to do anything, right? This entire team just looked stagnant on offense. They weren't moving off screens, and you really can't box out if you're just standing straight up. But you don't want to take my word for it, fine. Here's Syracuse head coach Adrian Autry.
And we watch film and we show that. And again, I think we have to do a better job of trying to get that message across, and our guys got to do a better job of receiving it. All right, again, you play against good teams, you can't stand. You can't just plot and stand. Some teams may let you do that. Most good defensive teams won't.
Well, there you have it. I mean, I don't know what that says, Gino, about the players if Adrian Autry's calling them out for watching it on film, and maybe they're not watching enough of film and taking it in, I guess.
Yeah, there's just a lot of questions with this team and, how they kind of, I don't want to say respect Autry, but there's been a lot of occasions this year where the team just doesn't seem to be on the same page as the coach, and obviously that's a recipe for disaster.
A recipe for disaster indeed. You guys might not see a lot of stagnant offense on these highlights we're about to show you. That's because it's going to be a lot of Clemson scoring. They put up 86 points against Syracuse tonight, improved to 11-1 inside Little John Coliseum. Let's go out to Clemson, South Carolina, and see how this matchup went down between Syracuse and Clemson. And early on, we talked about J.J. Starling, guys. He was absolutely excellent. 25 points, one of his 5 three-pointers right here. Syracuse up 8-4 early. Jair Davis even had a three-pointer around that same time. But we mentioned the fact that the Orange had a lot of giveaways in this one as well. They turned the ball over 14 times, led to 19 points on the other end for the Tigers. Ian Shefflin had that dunk right there, but J.J. Starling pours it in from the baseline. Excellent play, and Lucas Taylor gives this one away. Chase Hunter, one of the best players in the ACC, he's going to rip that one and throw it down. He had 23 points in this outing, and Josh, this is when it got away from Syracuse.
Yeah, Ryan, if you're only getting points from your guard and J.J. Starling, things are going to fall apart eventually. 18-6 run for Clemson going into halftime.
A tough break for Syracuse. Another 3 from Chase Hunter, 4 of 7 from downtown. Not only is he a great scorer, guys, but he's incredibly efficient. This was probably his deepest 3 of the day. I mean, that is from at least 30 feet out. Syracuse down almost 20 going into the halftime break. And Jair Davis was fighting down low. Syracuse, Gino, gave him a lot of points in the paint, though.
Yeah, just a lot of bully ball, and Lampkin and Davis, they just were watching a lot of the plays, and they need to be more physical down low, absolutely.
But also because Clemson was hitting so many threes, the paint just opened up, and then when you get mismatches like that, Ian Shefflin on J.J. Starling, that's a 5-inch difference between those two guys. Another Syracuse turnover. Majstorovic gives it away. Wiggins drops it off to Hunter. Taken away by Davis, but then right back to Wiggins for the layup. Pretty embarrassing stuff. If you're Syracuse and Adrian Autry, I mentioned that they fell behind by almost 24 in this one. Starling trying to keep them closer in it, but it was just too much at the end of the day. Syracuse. A tough game. They drop another one in the ACC, drop to 3-5 in the conference. And guys, I mean, the Syracuse Orange, they only lose by 14 in this one, but outside of J.J. Starling, Eddie Lampkin, not much offense.
Yeah, I mean, Lucas Taylor, Elijah Moore, Chris Bell, the supporting role guys had 11 points combined on 7 shots. I mean, Chris Bell went 2 for 2, but Bell shooting 2 shots in this game? Are you kidding me? Where's everybody else, Josh?
I think, Gino, if you're talking about, oh, well, Syracuse got, if you didn't watch this game and you're saying, oh, Syracuse got 72 points on offense, you're thinking it was a showout, but not so much.
No, not at all.
I mean, we could talk about it all day. The problems with Syracuse's offense. Someone who doesn't have a lot of problems right now is Andrew Selover. Saw a great game inside Littlejohn Coliseum, an excellent environment for college basketball. And Andrew, I want to start right there with these two offenses. Syracuse really struggles, but Clemson put on a clinic. What was the two differences between the offenses?
Yeah, no problems for us, Ryan, and no problems tonight getting points for Clemson. Boy, they kept scoring and scoring in bunches. I think the biggest difference between these two offenses tonight, the Clemson offense really lived down in the paint. They doubled up Syracuse in paint points tonight, 40-20. Couple reasons for that. One, the offensive glass, 8 offensive rebounds for Clemson tonight. They got some good second chance looks. They also caused live ball turnovers, and that led to fast breaks. That led to a couple dunks and easy lay-ins in transition for Clemson tonight. I think those are the two big differences for the Tigers in terms of offense compared to Syracuse.
Andrew, you're looking good. You know what else looks good? Syracuse at the start of this game, they went up 8-4 in the first 3 minutes. That's not very common for Syracuse. Usually they have slow starts and then kind of build their way back through the rest of this game. Did you notice anything at, whether it was pregame or just in warm-ups that signified a better start for Syracuse, whether it was just kind of talking together, everyone getting on the same page? Did you notice any difference from other games?
Great to hear from you, G-Man. I'm not sure I would say I noticed anything different pregame. I think the biggest difference was the shot selection early on in the game for Syracuse. If you take a look back at the film from the Notre Dame game when the Irish started off up double digits early on, I think Syracuse settled for a lot of deep threes and contested threes, and tonight they got the ball in the hands of their leading scorer all season, J.J. Starling, and they got him good looks early on, some mid-range game, and that's where J.J. really thrives, is in that mid-range. And J.J. led the offense all night, and he certainly did it. He had 4 of the first 5 buckets in that early stretch for Syracuse. So I think that's the difference maker. We talked to some of the players in the locker room. Was there anything mindset or warm-up or anything? They said no. We just watched the film and learned what not to do against Notre Dame and tried to do the opposite tonight. Unfortunately, that just didn't last for all 40 minutes for the Orange.
Hey, Andrew. Hope you're doing well out there in Clemson. I wanted to ask about, they're number 1 in the ACC when it comes to three-pointers, and it seemed like Adrian Autry, you would think, would have planned for that, but those threes kept on going off and going in. So I want to know, did Adrian Autry talk about his plan to defend from downtown in this game?
Yeah, Josh, I think the plan was pretty similar to what it was against Notre Dame, another good three-point shooting team. The big difference in this one was you just had one man to key in on, and that was Chase Hunter. And the big problem was you let Chase Hunter get going in that first half. So the plan's the same. You run guys off, you go over screens, but Chase Hunter got lost in transition a couple of times. Chris Bell with a couple big mistakes defensively late when he was matched up on Hunter. And if you let Chase Hunter get 1 or 2, he's probably going to get 3 or 4. And he did. I'm not convinced that the threes were the big difference tonight. Syracuse actually made more threes than Clemson did. The Tigers 9 of 20, the Orange 11 of 21. But certainly a couple of mistakes defensively and lapses that led to open looks from downtown.
Something that we are convinced about is that Andrew Selover provides the best coverage down in Clemson, South Carolina. Thanks so much for joining us on OPP. When we come back, though, we're talking a lot more things when it comes to Syracuse and Clemson and what happened with this team, especially on the offensive end. We're going to talk about it a little bit more when we come back. Welcome back to Orange Press Pass from our CitrusTV studios. Syracuse men's basketball falls 86-72 to Clemson. I'm Ryan Bridges, Gino Antimarino, and Josh Solomon still with me. And guys, the scoreline might not have been too close tonight, but there was almost a game within the game. The two star guards for this team, and J.J. Starling for Syracuse and then Chase Hunter for Clemson, were trading buckets. Hunter with 23, Starling with 25. Guys, what happened with these two guards tonight?
Oh my gosh, it was just so much fun to watch, Josh. If you're a basketball fan, this was a game to watch because both these guards, like you were mentioning, Ryan, just really popped off and really just helping their teams win. And at the end of the day, that's what you need your star players to do. That's what you need your top players to do. And that's exactly what these guys did, to be honest with you. And yes, J.J. Starling, we talked about it earlier, he was a man on a mission in today's game. Like you said, 25 points. He did it efficiently as well. But same with Chase Hunter. Shot 7 for 13 from the field, 4 for 7 from 3. And what makes Chase Hunter so good is he can shoot the 3 ball anywhere. And he's so good at just kind of lulling the defense to sleep with his slow dribble moves. And then at the last second, sidesteps or step back, and then launches a 3. Usually it goes in, and then today it certainly was going in for both guys.
Yeah, absolutely, Gino. I mean, you want to talk about, I think I have another word, agile, right? Being able to move around the court so well, and I think another reason he could do that, he's a little bit up there in age, 6 years, so he's had some experience. If you want to talk about a guy with ACC experience, I think Chase Hunter would be your guy. But absolutely, J.J. Starling, 50% from three-point range. We were talking about, especially in the first half, all three of us, we were like, okay, this is the Starling show. This is the Starling game. J.J. Starling absolutely turned it on and has so far this season. 20-plus points in half of the games he's played so far this season. He's been a really great player for the Syracuse team, but as we're also talking about, the only player that really shined tonight.
And you mentioned, this is Chase Hunter's 6th year, but it's crazy that he just continues to get better, and I think that's a true testament to the coaching staff. I mean, he's shooting over 45% from 3 this year. He's taken, I think, 110. Let me double check my notes. Yes, over 110 threes this season, and he's converted on, like I said, over 45% of them. I mean, that's really good. That's really talented, and the fact that he's a 6-year and still improving is pretty tremendous.
I mean, they have such a high number like that because Chase Hunter can just play within the flow of the offense. On the other side, you see Starling trying to dribble past 10 screens just to get open and get a mid-range jumper. That's what the Syracuse team has got to do.
And a lot of ball watching, too. A lot of ball watching from Syracuse, just kind of letting Starling go to work. He didn't really have many options to pass the ball off to.
Right, and then when they were able to pass the ball off, it led to a lot of turnovers for Syracuse. That's where we're going to go next, guys. 14 turnovers for Syracuse tonight. Josh, we'll start with you, but Andrew talked about it a little bit just now. The live ball turnovers led to those fast breaks, and then Syracuse just couldn't get set on defense.
Yeah, here you go, Gino. Ready? I have a trivia question for you.
Okay.
Here we go. Led 11 fast break points for the Tigers, right?
Okay.
How many fast break points did Syracuse have today?
I'm going to go 2.
0.
Oh.
Eggshell. 0.
That was my next answer.
Well, wrong, okay? 0 fast break points. Syracuse is also wrong in this category. That's what's going to happen when you have 14 turnovers in the contest for this Orange squad, and you're not forcing any. The average turnover percentage is in college basketball, right? The percentage of a team's possession that results in a turnover. And the college basketball average is 15. Tonight, Syracuse had almost 25.
Oh. Yeah, this has been a problem that has plagued Syracuse all season long. Syracuse averages the 4th most turnovers in the ACC heading into today at 12 a game. And it just continues to be a problem, and head coach Adrian Autry has said time and time again, it's almost to a point where I don't even want to listen to him in his post-game pressers anymore, where he's talked about it's a lot of sloppiness, a lot of carelessness, but the team still does it, Adrian Autry. You got to figure something out, and maybe you just give the ball to J.J. Starling and say, don't even pass the ball, because then it won't result in any turnovers. It's causing me so much pain that I'm stumbling over my words, Josh.
Listen, Gino, I know we're going to get a little bit more into Adrian Autry later in the show, but it already seems like he's riled you up enough so far this season.
It's the team.
The box score doesn't look good when it comes to the turnovers and the points off turnovers. Another category it doesn't look good at when it comes to points in the paint. Clemson, 40 points in the paint. Gosh. Syracuse with only 20. At one point it was 26-6 was the difference. Gino, why does Syracuse get beat up down low? Because they have big bodies in Eddie Lampkin and Jair Davis.
It's just as simple as they just get out-muscled. And it's plain and flat out. There's so many times where Syracuse gets caught with Majstorovic or Davis or Lampkin just kind of ball watching, and they're not really being aggressive and seeing okay, where's this ball? Dennis Rodman, one of the best rebounders the NBA has ever seen, he's talked about it's an art form to be proactive and not reactive when the ball hits off the rim. And there's been a lot of big men on the Syracuse team that are too reactive rather than saying, okay, I think I know the ball's going to go here. Not I think, I know where the ball's going to go, rather. And there's been a lot of times where it's just been out-muscled. And not to mention, give it up for Victor Lockett, the big man for Clemson in this one.
Too, yeah.
Had 10 rebounds, 6 offensive rebounds in this one as well, 16 points. I mean, he just flat out dominated Lampkin in this game.
Dominated in the paint, 16 points for him, and obviously we already talked about it, but Chase Hunter is not only able to shoot the 3-ball, but drive into the paint as well. And what happens when Syracuse gets doubled in their point totals in the paint? They only had 20, and Clemson had 40, so you just can't win that way.
No, there's no doubt about it.
No doubt about that, and no doubt about how great Chase Hunter was for the Clemson Tigers. He is our Orange Press Pass player of the game. We know he is one of the best scorers in the ACC, but the way that he was able to do it today, stepping back from 3, shooting it from distances that Syracuse defenders weren't really used to at all. 23 points, and he does it on an efficient 4 of 7 from downtown. Incredible stuff. It doesn't matter that he's in his 6th year. He's balling out for the Clemson Tigers and is one of the reasons why they're 2nd place in the ACC right now. The way they're playing, they always crush Syracuse. He was part of that team last year, but now with PJ Hall gone, this guy has stepped up and become one of the elite guards in the entire country. He is our Orange Press Pass player of the game. When we come back, we're talking a little bit more big picture things when it comes to Syracuse men's basketball and how they can do a little bit better down this ACC stretch heading into March.
Well, Thomas, you've got pre-diabetes. But with more exercise and a change in diet, it can be reversed.
I've tried exercising. It just makes me hungry for bacon.
I love bacon, too. And who really likes to exercise?
Not me.
Me neither.
Nobody. So we're good?
What? Oh, you still have pre-diabetes. Big time.
They'll test you. Try to break your will. But however loud the loudness gets, however many cheese puffs may fly, you're the driver, the one in control. Stand firm. Just wait. And move only when you hear the click that says they're buckled in for the drive. Never give up till they buckle up.
Syracuse men's basketball falls to Clemson. We're breaking it all down here on Orange Press Pass. I'm Ryan Bridges, Gino Antimarino, Josh Solomon, still with me, guys. We're only about halfway done, but we're going to give you a little break.
Gino seems like he's fully done already.
Okay. Well,
this is a brutal OPP for Gino.
You can say that I'm like Syracuse men's basketball because they're clearly done too. I'm done. We're all done.
Okay. Well, later on this segment, you guys are going to go head-to-head and kind of argue a little bit more. But before we do that, we got to look past this Syracuse and Clemson game because there was a lot of games going on around the NCAA today. Many games in the SEC, a lot of tight conference matchups. Gino, you look at this board, what are you thinking about?
Yeah, that Cal game and Florida State game is something to keep in note as well, especially with Cal without their leading scorer, Stojakovic. So, that's obviously still going on. It's at halftime. Cal's still up, but, a big win for the Golden Bears if they can get this one without their leading scorer, that's for sure. Also, that Florida and South Carolina game down to the wire, Josh.
Absolutely. You look at number 5, Florida. Great job by Will Richard there. 22 points for the senior guard from Florida. 4 out of the last 5 games have been W's for the Gators. And California, Syracuse is going to play pretty soon.
A lot of good games going on around the country. This game wasn't really good because, let's face it, Syracuse men's basketball, they're really struggling to find a second option, and that's going to be one of the topics in our big picture segment, one of the newer things to Orange Press Pass so far this year. And Syracuse men's basketball has lost Donnie Freeman, has been out for the last 4 games. J.J. Starling has a great game tonight, and they still didn't have a chance. Gino, who's the number 2 on this team behind Starling with Donnie Freeman out?
Yeah, well, listen, I know the answer you're going to go with because it's the obvious answer, but I'm going to go with something that's a little bit different, Josh. Okay. I'm going to go with Kyle Cuff.
Okay.
Yes, I said it.
I like it.
I said it.
I like it.
Now, this is a guy that nobody was really expecting, but in the last few games, Kyle Cuff has really been a force to reckon with. You know, he's been described as the Energizer Bunny, and there was a moment in today's game against Clemson where he came down and almost windmill dunked. Obviously, hit the back iron, but you know, Kyle Cuff has those flashes, as you can see. He's not a bad shooter, and in the last few games, you know, he had 9 tonight. Last game against Notre Dame, he was tied for the second most points on the team with 13. Also went 10 for 10 at the line in that game as well. You know, he's really just found his role with the team, and he's really just someone that has thrived at his role. 8 of 15 games this year where he's had 9 or more points. And not to mention, Josh, he's really gotten an increase in minutes as well. Combined 13 minutes through his first 3 games this season, and he didn't even start playing until the Colgate game. So the fact that he has really found success and found his rhythm is something that is a true testament to his work ethic and the coaching staff as well.
Absolutely, Gino. Hey, shout out to Kyle Cuff. But there is another player on that graphic that I would like to talk about, and that is going to be Eddie Lampkin.
Of course.
Beginning of the season, I would say no, absolutely not.
The biggest.
Why is Syracuse why did Syracuse get this guy from Colorado? He's supposed to be that low post scorer. Well, he's not scoring in the low post. But you know what? Besides this game, of course, this game doesn't favor what I want to talk about with the double-double. 1 rebound shy, as you see on your screen, but 4 games straight of double-doubles before tonight. And now I could say he's a low post scorer that all Syracuse fans expected, especially head coach Adrian Autry when the season began. Now I can see it. I couldn't see it earlier. Now I can see it.
And he played over 30 minutes in today's game. That was something that was questionable about, you know, Eddie Lampkin. Does he have the cardio to keep up with the big boys?
And you know what I like?
He's a big boy, but can he, run with the big dogs?
He's feisty. He's feisty. He gets angry. That's what Syracuse fans want to see. Losses, they suck. But at least, you know, you get some hype for SU fans in the crowd when you see Eddie Lampkin, you know, pumping up the chest after a nice and one opportunity.
Whatever Syracuse
butts in
fans,
seats,
whatever their
you know?
solution is going to be at this stage of the game, they need it now, because this team cannot put together a full 40 minutes. You even consider the Notre Dame win for Syracuse. They come back, but they were down 17 in the first half, guys. Yeah. They can't play a full 40 minutes. Josh, what should be the solution to making sure this team can just be a little more consistent?
Play defense, maybe? Syracuse has been atrocious at defense so far this season. Gino, you look at it, the second worst team in allowing the most points per game, or I should say the second most points in the conference, 78 points per game. They're not going to be able to win. No. How many times are you seeing Syracuse this season allow 80 points or more? You look at that Florida State game, allow 90 points or more. You can't win. You can't play a full 40 minutes. You can get as much offense as you want, but if you're keeping up with teams in close games, look how many points Clemson had there. 68-47. If you can't play defense, you can't win games.
Yeah, I think it's just having better starts, and you know, give Syracuse credit. They were up 8-4 with first 3 minutes in this game, but a lot of times that Syracuse has had to fight back in ball games, and just because they were up after the first 3 minutes of the game, they were still outscored 48-29 in the first half in this one, but then outscored Clemson in the second half 43-38, Josh. So the fact that Syracuse can put together a final 20 minutes, that's something to note, but they put themselves too much in a hole to crawl out of, and that's been the biggest problem for Syracuse.
And just real quick, that last win for Syracuse against Notre Dame, they allowed just 27 points in the second half.
Say it.
That was the first time all season they allowed under 30. And it took until now.
Yeah, it's unacceptable. It's unacceptable.
Absolutely.
Also, they were down by 17 in the first half of Notre Dame as well, like you mentioned.
I mean, you guys seem puzzled right here. We were supposed to come out of this segment with more answers, and we got more questions. It's okay, though. You guys have a little bit more time and another opportunity to share your final thoughts when we come back on Orange Press Pass. We're going to take a quick look at the other teams on Syracuse's campus and see how they're doing, and wrap up with our final thoughts.
There's one thing you can never have sex without.
It's not something you buy.
Or something you take.
In fact, there's only one way to get it.
It has to be given to you, freely.
It's consent.
Because sex without it isn't sex.
It's rape. Consent.
If you don't get it, you don't get it. It's on us to stop sexual assault.
Learn how and take the pledge at itsonus.org.
Closing up shop here on Orange Press Pass from our CitrusTV studios. Ryan Bridges, Gino Antimarino, Josh Solomon wrapping things up for you. And let's take a look around the hill and see what other Syracuse teams are doing right now or might be doing in this upcoming week. Syracuse tennis gets off on a good start, and Syracuse women's basketball, they need to recover from a really bad Boston College loss.
Yeah. Do you want to go first?
I mean, I was there.
All right, go ahead.
Oh my goodness. So 41-point loss. It was the worst loss for Syracuse women's basketball in nearly 3 years. I'll be at that game tomorrow reporting for CitrusTV. So hopefully they do a bit better against NC State, but it's the 20th ranked team in the country. So I don't know. Felicia Leggett-Jack has to clean some things up with their squad.
It sounds like both basketball teams are putting you through therapy, Josh. So yeah, not great for Syracuse. But how about the women's tennis team? 6-1 in the season opener. That's big for the ladies. Come on now. Love my tennis up there in Drumlins. You like tennis, Bridges?
I do. You know what I also like? More men's basketball. We've got that on Saturday. Syracuse hosting Pittsburgh inside the Dome. A Pittsburgh team that got off to a 12-2 start, but you see at the bottom of your screen, they've lost 4 straight. Does Syracuse have any chance, guys? When they both don't have an answer, that's not a good sign.
We'll see. I mean, Syracuse is 1-4 on the road this year, so I don't like their chances, Josh.
Pittsburgh, a high-scoring offense. You see 80 points there per game.
And I love Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh guy.
Big Pittsburgh guy?
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll have to see. All
right, well, I've been asking Gino and Josh questions all night, but this is their chance to tell me what I need to hear. It's time for Sound Off.
All right, well, yeah, new segment for Orange Press Pass. This was great. But you know what's not great? Syracuse fans of the men's basketball team. And so this is a letter to you guys because it's been a rough one. It's been absolutely brutal. J.J. Starling said after the Notre Dame win, but at first it was looking like a blowout. He said, if you're going to boo, don't show up. We're playing for each other. Well, that's fine, but the Dome's probably going to be empty if that's the case. So Syracuse fans, I'm just letting you know, I'm not going to apologize to you because I have nothing to be sorry for. But next year, let's just erase this from memory. Let's just, whatever happens this year happens. But next year, let's try and have a better year. We'll see. We'll have to wait and find out, Josh. But that's my letter to the fans.
Letter to the fans, I'm just going to talk about the team. There's 12 games left in the season against ACC opponents. And Gino, I'm sorry, but, well, I'm not sorry because I agree with you. I'm sorry to Syracuse fans. This negativity is just going to continue on my side as well. This team will not win more than half of those games left in this season. NCAA tournament excitement? Maybe NIT? Nothing. They're not going anywhere, not even the NIT. The Syracuse team has no potential, and I'm sorry, there's not very much, if any, hope left in this season.
A rough season for Syracuse. A good thing is that lacrosse season is right around the corner. We know Orange Press Pass is going to be doing that quite a bit. Syracuse in the first media poll, number 2 in the entire country. Guys, Syracuse men's lacrosse can't come soon enough.
It'll be nice that for our Orange Press Pass amazing producers, they can actually have a team that's ranked. That's pretty good,
All right, well, until then, we got to say goodbye from Syracuse. For all of our producers behind the scenes, Josh, Gino, Ryan saying so long.